computer. All right, so we're now recording. And so, Steve, like the biggest thing is that tell me a little bit about the business and what you guys are looking for from me. And I can help dive into the specifics of exactly what you guys are trying to accomplish.
Yeah, Tyler. Hey, thank you again for hopping onto this call. So basically, me and my audience, we're trying to generate off-market leads, specifically multifamily leads. We typically target between 5 to 100 units. Life of ownership is typically around 2 years. And kind of the market that I kind of want to test is Oklahoma City. I have a lot of experience investing in Oklahoma City. So, just kind of want to see what PropertyRadar offers compared to other platforms I've used and just see, how it is.
Yeah, no problem. So let me give you a little bit of an overview of PropertyRadar, and then I'll dive into some of that stuff. So PropertyRadar has been around since 2007. We were originally identified as foreclosure radar, and we specialized in collecting foreclosure notices and things like that, but we were only servicing back then 5 states. We focused on California, Nevada, Arizona, Washington as our primary markets. And it wasn't until a couple years ago, so 2 years ago, we went nationwide with all property data. And we've got over 155 million properties in our database with every single property. So it doesn't matter if it's residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, we've got everything. And it's all property ownership. So land, anything that somebody owns and that pays property taxes on, we're going to have that data. And we have all the assessment information. We've got the deeds, the mortgages, the pre-foreclosures, assignments, releases. We've got new data coming in that's going to hit our system in the next couple months with, liens of, federal tax liens, state tax liens, county tax liens. We're going to have code violations, a lot of stuff that's going to be coming in that's going to be really cool. But ultimately, we compile all this data, bring it together into a platform that allows users to do really 3 main principles of service. So the first is lead generation. And that's what I'm going to get into in a little bit, of where you're able to really comb through all that data to find exactly what it is that you want to target. We've got the most search criteria of any company in the industry. So we offer over 250 search criteria you can apply to narrow down exactly what you're looking for. We also allow you to engage those properties. So that gets into the second component. So lead gen is the first. Engagement is the second. So now that I've found my leads that I want to go target, how do I target them? We have built-in skip tracing, so contact information with phones and emails. So as soon as you find a property, you'll be able to see if there's a phone number on it. You actually have filters you can use to narrow down to records that only have those phone numbers or email addresses. I'll show you some of those in a little bit. And then you can use our dialer to make outbound calls. You can make text messages. You could do send ringless voicemails. It's a third-party add-on, but it's integrated in the application, which is really powerful because it allows just full access and you don't have to leave the system, and you can make calls, send text, do ringless voicemails while within the application, make notes, all that good stuff. And then the last part is the research. Once you find a property, once you start the engagement, now you need to run comps, you need to evaluate stuff, you need to look at the transaction history, you want to know what's going on with this property owner. That's where you get into all the specifics of the details to see it all, and I'll pull that up to show that as well. But you mentioned a little earlier that you wanted to look at Oklahoma City, right?
Yeah, because I've used other data platforms in Oklahoma City, so I think it'd be a pretty good side-by-side comparison. But I kind of put the platform a little bit yesterday, and I think kind of alluding ahead a little bit. It was nice that I was basically searching properties that I owned myself, Oklahoma, and then I would click on it, and it would link to my Facebook, which I thought was a little bit creepy. It was actually accurate. It hit me.
It's not a direct link to your Facebook profile, but if you have a unique name in a certain location, we try to match that data, and then we do a search that's a generic search in Facebook to find it. So some people who have generic names, you might get a list of 15 people that, their Facebook profiles. But if you have a unique name in that area, it'll definitely find you. And, you know, as long as you have a profile that has those kinds of things, like you have to have your location visible and you have to have your name visible, and then it will render that. So, you know, we don't have the Facebook data, but we know how to run the searches to find the person as when you click that link, which is really nice. But love it. I'm glad everybody starts that way though, too. It's funny. You know, every time you get into a new system, you always look up your own stuff and validate. Is that really when I bought it? Yep, that's right. And you get into, do they have all my loans? Yep, they have all my loans. So really cool stuff of when you can dive into it. But so we just ran a search for Oklahoma City. And the way the system starts out is it renders every single property that exists in Oklahoma City. So as you can see, there's about 195,241 properties in Oklahoma City. And then, you know, that's the total universe. So now you have all these other criterias over here that you can apply and dive into to narrow things down. We've got things of location that allow you to dive into certain streets in there if you wanted to. You can go into specifics like properties, where you can go to property types. So in this case that, you know, we kind of talked about multifamily, 5+ or 10 to 100 units. So what I typically do in this, whenever somebody wants a specific unit range, I'm going to actually back out of this filter and go to unit. I'm going to specify 5 to 100 units. Super simple. It's going to give me all that. But what you'll notice is some of these are commercial offices. Some of these are industrial buildings because they all have different unit counts. So now that I've got my 5 to 100 units, I'm going to go in and specify that I want specific types of properties. So I'm going to specify that I want multifamily dwellings. Obviously, if it's a duplex, it's not 5. If it's quadruplex, it's not 5. If it's a triplex, it's not 5. But multifamily, even though it says 2 to 4, if the unit count is above, it'll still include it. And so we're looking for exactly properties that have a 5 to 100 unit count. I'm going to also go into multifamily 5+. I'm going to include apartments, residents like hall, dormitories, multifamily 10 units, mixed complexes, group quarters. I also like to include unknowns just because if it has a unit count that's really high, you never know what it is. Our data is reliant on the county assessor, and they're not always the most up to date. And there is no other way around it. You know, the county tax assessor, the way that I've always joked about it is that the data is inherently flawed, incomplete, untimely, and inaccurate, but there's no other way to get it. There's no other source to know what a property is. There's no access other than the county assessor. So we go in and we grab all that data. And then I'm going to add in other as well, because we got a fraternity, sorority house here. I don't think we need any of these other ones in here, but I'm just going to add that criteria. And now I'm down to 379 properties. So the blue, icons with a little split on that, that is a multifamily 2 to 4 unit label. I'm going to open one up here just to kind of show you that. So you see property type right here, it says multifamily 2 to 4. But then when you scroll down, you're going to see structure and you're going to see units, 19. So even though the county has this established as a 2 to 4 unit, because they only have it as a multifamily dwelling, the county does not classify it as a 5+ unit building, but they have a unit count of 19. Every county across the United States labels properties differently. We have no control over that, but we take what they tell us, which they say multifamily dwelling, and we group them for standardized use nationwide. Okay. So when I was talking about before with you, Steve, the big thing is that you can go to the county assessor from within PropertyRadar. So I'm going to click this link here of looking up the assessor because I want to show you where this data comes from and how we match to the county. So I'm just opening up Oklahoma assessor here. I'm going to take a look down here. It allows me to search a property. I'm going to click that. And then I can search a physical address. So I'm going to just grab this address right here, copy, paste that address. And let's see here. I think it was Avenue, right? Yep, Avenue. Let's click that one. So we've got Boyington Properties LLC as the current owner. Boyington Properties LLC is the current owner. So we match directly to the assessor of knowing current ownership. You then get into where did that property type come from? So, we've got multifamily dwelling right there. If you look down in this site, you're going to see, let's see here, they've got multifamily, multiple residential. So that's a multifamily dwelling characteristic. That's the building description. So we're taking that and standardizing it to multifamily dwelling. And that multifamily dwelling, we're just grouping into multifamily 2 to 4 because it didn't say that it was, most of these in other areas are, like 2 to 4 units. But we have it grouped under there. That's why I included it in the original search. But we have a unit count of 19. So the county tax assessor tells us that there's 19 units, and now we've got that data to be included. So this lets me know that that's an accurate property of what I want to target. Now, these red ones are where we know that they are a multifamily 5+. And that's because the type of the property is labeled as an apartment. And the unit count, let's see if it's in here, is 5. So it's just a 5 unit apartment complex. Now, as you get into public record data, you're not going to see like the bedroom count breakout for each unit. Public record does not care if it's a 5-unit building and one unit is 3 bedrooms, another unit is 2 bedrooms, another unit is 5 bedrooms. They don't care. These characteristics that are here are not going to be accurate because that's the problem, is that each unit's going to be different. Each size is going to be different. A lot of times you're going to have a good square footage of the whole building, and you're going to have a good lot size for the lot or land that's owned. And then you're going to have a year built of, when that structure was built. Again, ownership information is going to be here. You're going to have the ability to go through the value and equity, so you can see if there's any loans on the property. This one has 0 loans, so they got 100% equity. When did they buy it? How much did they pay for it? All that details in there. Okay. So the idea with our platform, as I mentioned, is you're going in and you're building a list. So I've got 379 properties now that match my desired criteria. Now, you did mention another criteria of length of ownership, right? 2 years? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, at least 2 years.
Beautiful. So I'm going to go into transfer, which is ownership. I'm going to look at most recent owner. I'm going to do a purchase date, and I'm going to just do anything before 2 years ago. So let's go to 2021, May 19th, 2021. So this is everything before May 19th, 2021 of ownership. So everybody's owned the property longer than that. Still, we're down to now 297 records. Now, other things that you can do are additional property information. If you wanted to add like bedrooms or bath count, which obviously multifamily, it's not that good. Maybe lot size, you want to make it certain the lot is a certain, size lot or acres. Maybe you want to find the buildings that are vacant. Some of these multifamily buildings are vacant. You can find that with our site vacant. We also allow you to go into some owner information. We allow you to identify owner's age, their gender, their marital status, if they have kids. We even have the phones already in the database, as I mentioned earlier, so contact information. So let's just say that you want to do a texting campaign and you don't want to look at anything other than people who have a mobile phone that, is available. You can go in and owner has mobile phone. Yes, add. Now, of those 297s, it drops down quite a bit, but I now have 62 leads of property owners that match this criteria that have a mobile phone available. I can unlock that mobile phone, and now I can literally call them right here on the spot. I can call that mobile number. I can do the text messaging. So we got an integrated dialer, we got an integrated texting service, and we also got an integrated ringless voicemail delivery capability. Users can unlock all of them or unlock one at a time. They can set up, 100 numbers to be called simultaneously or in succession. So that way it's like a power dialer. It's whatever users want to do to communicate with these owners, but these are the owners of these properties. And what you'll see here is we've got an owner on this record that shows Chelsea Midtown LLC. So you're like, who do I contact with that Midtown LLC? You've got Brett Delane Irish right here, who's 45 years old, that you would call. Even though the property's in a corporation name, we were able to pierce that corporation and identify the person who actually is behind that corporation. And we do that by going into the mortgage document that was issued and identifying the principal who signed for that mortgage. No other company is currently offering that kind of a service. So we're able to get that contact information for the LLC so you could reach out to them and say, hey, I want to buy your property. And then check this out. This one's actually currently listed for sale. It's actually on market. I'm going to go to listings, for sale, active, 3.9 million. Been on market for 7 days. So now I can actually go to Zillow and access the details. I can see what it looks like. Fully refurnished apartment building. And, all of that from within PropertyRadar is like, we're not trying to limit people because, we know that we don't have everything. So even if we didn't have that listing, you could still click here to check to see if it's listed for sale. And so the idea is that you're building these lists of properties. So I've got this list of exactly, I'm going to take off the mobile number one just because it can be a higher list. And I'm going to basically come in, and now I've got my 297 properties. I'm going to make that list because this is something that I want. I'm going to call it Oklahoma City Multifamily 5 to 100 units. And let's say I want to add monitoring to this. So now that I've got my list built, any new records that match that criteria, let's say there's a guy that owns the property and he's owned it for 1 year and 11 months. As soon as he hits that 2-year mark, it's going to become a lead for me. I can hit create, and that new lead can be automatically added to my list, and I can get a notification about it. So I don't have to keep coming back, rerunning to look for new records. It'll automatically add them for me. And then once you got that, I've got my list. I can export that data. If I wanted to export it to a spreadsheet so I can analyze it or upload it to my CRM. But you don't even have to do that. Now that I have monitoring set up, I can easily come in and set up an automation. I can make it to where new records that come into this system automatically push that data into my CRM. So if I got a Zapier integration, I can go ahead and include that Zap to basically push the data directly to my CRM. So now every new record that comes in, it'll not only add it to my list, it'll also push it to my CRM automatically. We also have a kind of a, not a poor man, I would say more of a simple CRM system here. So you can actually manage your status within the application. You can manage your interest level. You can add it to certain lists. If you have multiple lists that are there, you can automatically add phone numbers and emails automatically throughout the process. So there's a lot of automation capabilities here. But the big thing is that I just now built this list. If I wanted to get access to the new records, it'll keep monitoring them. So any new records that come in, I would be able to click that. So like this 37 here, I'm going to click those 37 properties. And now I'm looking at those 37 records that were added to my list that I haven't seen yet. And so now I can start pursuing these that were part of a different list that I was targeting. So Steve, the big thing is with your group, you guys are targeting multifamily properties. So right here, we just went in and we created a list of exactly that. Oh, let me go back to that. Let's go ahead and copy it, open it. So we've created a list of exactly multifamily people properties. We've got all these different filtering capabilities that you can do. If you wanted to add in foreclosures to look at people who are multifamily owned properties and maybe actively facing a foreclosure, you can easily apply that criteria and see if there's any in Oklahoma City, which there aren't. Most of those aren't really facing foreclosure right now, but as time goes, they might. So Steve, any questions so far or anything you want to dig into specifically?
No, I really like how PropertyRadar can pierce the corporate veil. I mean, creepy for me because I have it for asset protection, but I guess that's why. Because usually, like in most databases, you'll just have the LLC name, and they'll usually have like a PO box, right? They're
exactly
using a PO box as an asset protection to be basically maintain privacy. But it's kind of crazy how you would look at the mortgage docs. You can't hide that, right? Like I'm signing the mortgage docs, right?
Exactly.
Stephen Nguyen is signing it. So it's kind of nice that, because a lot of times I send mailers out. I kind of advocate for yellow letters complete. I'm not sure if PropertyRadar integrates with them, but that's what I've kind of been using and my audience uses. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like when we send it to an LLC, I don't know who's going to contact me, right? Sometimes like a shot in the dark. If you don't know the name, but at least with PropertyRadar, you're going to have their name and you can even find their number or email.
No, exactly. You can get their phone number, their email address. We don't currently offer a direct mail offering integration right now, but I take that back. We don't currently have our own in-house direct mail, but we have a Zapier that you can easily tie into any third party. So if you wanted to zap over to Yellow Letter to do your mailing, you could easily do that, because Zapier is a universal integration if you don't know how to build webhooks. If you're familiar with building webhooks, and maybe Yellow Letter has the ability to offer a webhook, you would just get the URL and add that on, and then it would just push it out and bypass Zapier. But we're about to actually launch in the next probably 30 to 45 days a direct mail integration for ourselves. Like, we actually built it ourselves. And so you'll be able to send postcards through the platform, fully customizable. It's a really cool feature, and we'll be able to send it out first class pre-sort mail, and you'll be able to monitor it through the delivery process. So you'll be able to see when you send that postcard, when it got printed, when it got mailed, and when it got delivered. We're going to have the scans at every single point that you can set up automations with. So now, remember I mentioned the automation? Picture this. I now have a list that I've created, and every single time a new record comes in matching my criteria, I want to automatically send out a postcard that I don't even have to think about. You can build that with our system. It'll allow you that automation. It'll allow the postcard to get mailed out automatically. We're even going to have drip sequences. So you could say, send this postcard first, then in 5 days, send this other postcard. And this is all future state stuff. So, again, we don't have it today, but it is going to come down the line, which is going to be really cool.
No, thanks for sharing that. That actually would, basically save a step, because, we can automate that, set it, because like the struggle that my students have is they can't consistently send the mailers themselves. They get discouraged after 1 or 2 campaigns, right? But
of course,
you just set it and forget it, it does it for you, as long as it has the sufficient funds to do it. But that's actually nice.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about. Our whole platform, like our goal with PropertyRadar is we're trying to make hyper-local marketing advanced and automated. One of the biggest things that we do with our system is, I'm just going to kind of showcase where we kind of highlight our structure. So we help people discover. Once you discover your list, you can actually understand your list. Understanding is a really unique feature. I'm going to kind of talk to that in a second, because as you build a list, you've kind of used criteria to build that list, but you don't really know what's in that list. We actually give you that ability within PropertyRadar, and I'll show it in just a second. But then we get into connect. Now that I've got my list, how do I contact those people? And then automate it. So that way you don't have to think about it. Just let it keep going. And that's what we're all about. So when I was mentioning about understanding, so I've got this list, right? I just created that list. It's got 297 properties in it, multifamily units. I want to go into insights. What insights is going to do is it's going to crunch that data of all of those owners, and it's going to summarize the information of what those owners are like what's their status, what's their education level, what's their age. Any of that data we have, it kind of compiles it together to help provide a summary overview of what's in your list. So this list of the Oklahoma City multifamilies, they're pretty much males, age 61, bachelor's education, income 75,000 to 100,000, net worth 100,000 to 250,000, and most of them are married. So like you kind of look at the data and it gives you the splits of all that. So here's the age breakout. And this is why we came out with the average of 61, because there's 13% of the file is 45 years old, or 35 to 45. 20% of the file is 45 to 55. So you can see all of that data. Here's where you could see the education, graduate, bachelor, high school education, marital status, income, net worth, children at home. all of this stuff is here to help you determine how should I speak to these people? When you're looking at people who are 60 years and older, are they going to respond with a text? Maybe, maybe not. So maybe you might want to send them a letter. Maybe it's more of a polished letter versus a postcard because of the age. There's different things that help you decide how am I going to market to this list. And then same thing with those properties. So now I'm going to switch over from the people that own the property to the properties themselves and get insights about the structures that I'm targeting. Obviously, we know we're targeting multifamily 5 to 100 units. That was our audience. That was what we applied for our criteria. So now you can see the multifamily types, the square foot, the beds, the average, the equity, length of ownership, and you can see all of that insights in here based on looking at that data. So we're just taking that data of the 235 records and crunching that to give you an overview of what's going on inside that file. So it really helps you craft your messaging of really how you want to communicate with those people.
Yeah, great question. I actually like that it compiles all the data because, like you said, you can really tailor your marketing. Because if it's like 6-1, like you said, maybe they'll respond to like a letter or some a text, right? But it's multi-pronged. But in terms of like the actual property itself, let's say, do they include rent as well, like the average rent?
So rent on multifamily is hard. And that's because there's multiple units and we don't know each individual unit size, because obviously a 3-bedroom unit is going to rent for less than a 1-bedroom unit. And we don't know what the unit breakout is of those bedrooms. But if you ever get into single family, that is much easier because single families have more of those, individual information. Like, let me just pull up a quick little list here in my area. And I'll just kind of show you the difference of multifamily versus single family. So as I come in here, I'm looking at this property here. I can go into property information, actually value and equity. We've got the HUD fair market rent information. So we know in this area, HUD can identify the fair market rent of $3,578 is for the rent for this type of property of 4-bedroom, 4-bath, 3,600 square feet. Now, obviously, I know that in my area, that is cheap. This property, if that was going for rent, would probably go for about $4,500 to $5,000 a month. But we try to gather all that data to bring it in so users can actually identify the insights and make determinations. Again, we've got the ownership contact information. We know when they bought it, how much they paid for it. With residential single family, you're able to establish an estimated value. With commercial and apartment buildings, estimated values are not accurate. Like if you go to Zillow, let's see if that multifamily one's still here. Zillow does not put a estimated value on multifamily properties because they don't have the data to establish how many units there are, what's the unit breakout, how many bedrooms are in each unit to establish a value. And so that's why with complexity on those, you can't really get equity or LTV because we don't really know what the property could be worth. Now, obviously, when it's listed for sale, we know the equity because that's their asking price. And in PropertyRadar, we would know with those commercial buildings or with those multifamily buildings. Let me back up really quick. We'd know in those multifamily buildings, oops, clicked on the wrong one, what their loan debt is. So we've got loan balance. Let me see if I can find one that's got a good debt on it. Let's see here. So here we got a $3.2 million balance in debt. And they bought it for 1.7. And so you can establish, like we've tried to get to an estimated value. And the estimated value here is the assessed value. So this isn't really the value of the property. It's just an assessed value of what the county tax assessor does. And out in Oklahoma City, they don't really value the property at what it's actually worth. They just do it probably based on land and building, but not actual revenue. So this is completely wrong. And I would never look at this if I was investing out in Oklahoma City. But this balance is good to know. They've got an open loan that has a balance of $3.2 million. So I know that if I were to come into an offer, I'd have to be above their loan balance unless they're underwater. But that's where you have to establish what your value is in the area. You'd have to know kind of the area a little bit, determine what, exactly is out there, what they're selling for. So you could come in and you could run comps. But the problem with comps are, again, unit counts are different. The bedroom breakouts are different. And so those are things that we just don't have. So the idea with this is you can find the lead, you can target the lead, you can get the response, but then you still have to dig into the details with the owner to find out, exactly what is the unit breakout? What's your income? How many vacancies do you have currently? All of that kind of stuff. And that helps you then hopefully put together your offer.
Great, thanks for sharing that. I guess the other question I had was on the actual, on the list, you can compile all the information about the apartment. Does it kind of give you the average, like, I don't know, age of, I guess, your list, or how much equity is in the list? I know you kind of alluded to earlier that it's not accurate.
Yeah, the equity is not going to be spot on. It's not even going to be accurate at all. So I wouldn't even pay attention to that with multifamily units, and no other company out there can do that either. Because again, our struggle is the county doesn't say it, and so no other company has access to those insights. You have to literally compile a unit breakout and have multiple ones. But you can get, again, we're looking at the person here. If I go over to the property, I can look at the year built age. So, what is the, average year built? Stuff like that. So let's give that a second and it'll populate that. It does try to calculate equity, but like I said, I would take it with a grain of salt. It would not be that accurate. But here's your built age. A bunch of buildings are 75 plus years old. Here's 50 to 75, 20 to 25 to 50. This is how old those multifamily buildings are that are in that list. It shows you turnover too. How many of the properties have been owned for a long time? How many of them have been owned for 10 to 15 years, 8 to 10 years, 6 to 8 years, 4 to 6 years? So it gives you an idea of really the breakout. So a lot of these are 16 averages over 16 years. So you're getting an idea for summarizing what's in the list. And that's what this is all about for insights, is getting you that.
I like that average age because they own it for 16 years, right? So if you're on a 20-year amortized loan, that's almost paid off essentially, right?
Yeah. Well, so the turnover is 16 plus years. So yeah, you're almost paid off. You've got that in there, and some other things that you can apply as some of your filters. If let's just say you have specific loan parameters that make sense to target. We actually give our users so much loan data that you can dive into to apply. And so I'm in that list again, the 297. I'm going to go into loans and liens, and I can go into the first loan position, and I can pick any one of these things to identify what's going on with it. Maybe I want to make sure this loan was issued a while ago. So I'm going to go into loans and liens, first loan. I'm going to go to first loan date. And let's just say I want to make it like 10 years ago. So I can go here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now I'm looking at every single loan that's still open that has a loan date of 10 years ago or more. So you can literally apply anything to narrow it down and get people who are mostly paid off with this. And so the other thing that I want to point out is we do an amortized pay down. So we know, we're assuming they've been making their payments on a regular basis. So within our transaction information, you're going to see here, this loan is currently open. It was a cash out, and they took out $687,000 back on August 8th, 2006. Okay. And with that being said, as you get into the balance is now 471,000. So we're assuming that they are making their payments on a regular basis, and we can pay down exactly how many months have passed since the loan was taken out. So a lot of cool stuff with being able to get down to the specifics. We allow you to see all of the transaction information on the property, so you can see when it was first bought, they took out this loan, they refinanced that, or they released that loan and took out a new loan. So you can see where that changed, and you can see the amounts, you can see the down payment, You could see the LTV ratio. So all of that stuff. So this property was bought on June 19th, 2006 with 100% financing. They took out a loan for the exact purchase price, nearly the exact. I think it was like $2,000 down payment. So really cool stuff of how you can kind of dive into those specifics.
No, I like that feature actually. So can I search like loan amount, let's say less than like, I don't know, 100K, for example?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So
Wow.
within our loan detail, you can go into estimated open loan balances. And so I can specify that I want anything that's under, what was the number you said?
And let's just say like 100K, so it's basically almost paid off, right?
Yeah, so this is going to include anything under 100K, including ones that have no loan. So they're free and clear. So I just took off that first one. I'm going to apply 100K here. So 297 now comes down to 117. And so when I look at those 117 properties, I can open up one of those and I can see this, it's free and clear. There's no loan on this. And I can look at the details. They had a loan, 2.5 million. They refinanced or released it, did a refi here, but that got released. So they paid all this off. And that's why it's now free and clear. You can even go into past ownership. So if I want to look at all the history of ownership of who's owned this property, it goes back to 1999. Crawford Trust sold this to Bolvin. Bolvin then sold the property to Midtown Harvey. Midtown Harvey now owns this property, has taken out loans. And I can see it all in chronological order. So everything is tied together.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, let's say I were to buy a deal of seller finance where the seller became the bank. Would that show on PropertyRadar?
Yes.
Financing?
Yes. So as you come in here, what you can do is under our, let's see here, under our loans and liens, we have first loan. We have a, where is it? Actually, let me search it because I always miss which category this is in. So seller carryback, and a seller carryback is other loan type. Beautiful. So I want to go in and do loans and liens. I want to go other loan. I want to go to loan type, and I want to do, where's the carryback? I think it's the seller. Is that the one? Sorry, I'm going to back up really quick because I just forgot what it was that I was searching. Seller carryback loans. And oops, why did it not show it? So seller carryback. Why is it taking me here? Let me go clear that. Search. So we have it. I don't know why. I guess it's just taking me here because that's the criteria. So I'm going to apply a seller. It's going to now look for any of the properties that have a seller carryback on it. Let's see if any of them do. Beautiful. There's 6. Now I'm going to go in and open it up. And let's see here. This is a short sale. So you can, let's see, where is it? Yeah. So you see, this is the seller of the property, MKJ Properties LLC. This was the purchaser, Race Properties. MKJ just did the loan to the property is now in a trust. So you can see all, or sorry, this is the trust. Where is that seller carryback? Let's see here. Maybe I clicked the wrong one. Hold on. Sorry. Let's see here. I'm going to exit out of this really quick and I'll jump back into it. I want to see seller. Transfer, let's purchase seller. Okay, so if I go to loans and liens, I go into first loan, and I want it to be type seller. Okay, there isn't any in this list, but let me see if I can pull some of this loan off. But yeah, that is the feature that will tell you. I'm going to try and switch the market and just do all of Oklahoma because I want to see if there's one in here. So here we go. There's 4 here in the whole state of Oklahoma. I'm going to open this up. And so this is where you see it. So we've got the seller, got the buyer. So we've now got the loan here, and we've got the financer right there. So yeah, so this actually tells you it's a seller financing property right here. So
okay,
yes, it can be done. It can be done. Again, there's not a lot of them with multifamily, and there's more of those in single family. But if there is one there, you can find it.
Got it. No, I mean, I just asked because I'm pretty big on seller financing.
Oh yeah,
probably my as well, just because you can get in, you don't have to include banks and create a win-win situation. And given the average age is 16 years, like you said, they're close to being paid off, right? So
exactly.
Basically come in, they can become the bank, and then they can still get the monthly income about being free of the day-to-day operation. So
yeah, when they're that age, if they don't need the money and they don't want to go on a cruise or buy a boat, they're good. Like they'll just take the income and just have the steady flow that'll give them more money over long periods of time. And if the person defaults, then they can take back the property.
Yeah, exactly. And they've owned it.
There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good for it.
Yeah, they've been owning it for 16 years on average. That means they're getting monthly cash flow for 16 years. So it feels kind of weird to lose it. But if you can kind of there's not much seller finance deals right now, but it seems like there's opportunity because
exactly.
The average age is pretty high, and the average owners was like in the 60s. So
exactly,
maybe boomer generation, and eventually they want to be, maybe they're self-managing, and maybe they want to be free.
Yep. So one other thing that I wanted to kind of share with you is that real quick, with PropertyRadar, we also have a mobile app. If you're not familiar, we've got it in the Apple Store and the Android Google Play Store. And it comes with a subscription. So as you sign up, you get access to the mobile app. And it is awesome when you're out in the field that you can pull lists from it. You can generate leads. You can do everything that's on the web app in the mobile app. But it also has a driving for dollars component. So if you're out driving and you want to record your routes so that way you don't keep driving down the same streets over and over again, you have that ability. But picture pulling up to a really run-down multifamily unit property that you're just wondering who owns this thing. You can literally pull up on the app, click it, and it will open up the property details and give you everything that you see on the home on our website. That you can identify how long they've owned it, when they bought it. If they have the phone number, you'll be able to grab the phone number. You can give them a call. Like anything and everything is really capable within the mobile app, which is awesome. And it's just having that tool while you're out in the field is great, especially when you're driving around. So, any other questions, Steve?
Nice. No, I guess kind of the question I have is in more regards to like maybe the skip tracing at this point. I mean, are the numbers kind of given with the subscription and emails, or is it the cost, or how does that work?
Yeah, so let's talk about how that costs. So as users come in, we've got our pricing outlined on our website. So we offer a $79 plan, let me go to the month to month. So our monthly plan is $99. Our monthly essential plan is $60, but you're not going to get a lot of the searching capabilities that I outlined within the essential plan. So if you're building lists and you need like list data, you need to get the complete plan because you get access to the demographic stuff. The essential one doesn't give you that. We also have the USPS vacant stuff that's in the complete plan. Also, if you look at the prices for the skip tracing, so we refer to it as phones and emails. With the complete plan, you get 250 skip traces included. With the essential plan, you get 25. Anything over the 25, you pay 15 cents for the essential plan you only pay 8 cents for complete. So half the cost just to have that extra $50 a month on there. And so if you need phones and that's a big thing for you, the complete plan makes the most sense. We also give you, as part of the plan, you get 10,000 exports. So if you're familiar with other products, a lot of those products limit you to 10,000 records that you can save. PropertyRadar has no limit. I can build 1,000,000 lists with 1,000,000 properties on each list, and there's no restriction. The only thing that we restrict against is getting that data out of our database. So if you need to export it to a spreadsheet, but if you don't need to do that and you just want to call it directly from within our application, you don't ever have to worry about exports. But exports are, we get 10,000 with the plan, and any export above 10,000 is a penny for each record. You have the ability to import data. So if you have a list of contacts or properties that you want to get additional insights on, you can import that file, and that's going to be a penny for each record to bring into our database. As I mentioned, we've got that dialer integration. So you got a dialer, you got a messenger, you got a ringless voicemail. Those are additional costs. They're all outlined on our website, but you can bundle them for a discount. It's through a party called Wave, so it's integrated directly into our application. I think I showed one. Let me just see if I can show it again. So as you're communicating, let's just say I want to make a call, I can click the dialer button. Obviously, these are landlines, but when I click call, it'll pull up the dialer up at the top. I hit start, and it'll start the call. And as soon as I hit start, it'll actually open up that property profile to that property that I'm calling. So I will always be looking at the property I'm calling. Obviously, I'm not going to call it now because I don't want to talk to this person because I don't invest in Oklahoma. But you have full access to that kind of stuff, which is great. The other parts is also, if you commit to a year up front, you get a discount. So you could save over $240 with an annual prepay. So it comes out to about $79 a month for the plan. Or you can do the annual prepay on the essential, which saves you about $120 for the annual. But the skip tracing, the nice thing is we include some. We want you to be successful. You know, we're not giving you 10,000 skip traces, but we're giving you enough to get started and get some contacts and start making some calls and see how accurate the information is. Other companies want you to pay for even one.
Is it $250 per month, or is it just one time?
$250 per month. So every time the plan renews, you get another $250, you get another $250, you get another $250, and then anything over, you just pay 8 cents for each additional over.
No, that's actually nice, because other platforms, they do charge a skip trace, and yeah, that's what kind of turned me away. But it's nice where if it's included, you know, like you can save some money instead of sending some letters. You can skip trace emails and numbers.
Exactly.
You can do multi-pronged approach, right? You can email them 1 month, you can text them 1 month, you can send them a letter the next month, right?
Exactly. Exactly. It's all about multi-marketing, multi-touch marketing. Everybody's getting marketed these days, but it's the follow-up, it's the consistency, it's building your brand. You want to keep sending stuff that has a designated message that stays consistent, so that way they start to remember who you are. So if you ever do, go knock on the door, if you ever do call and talk to them, they can remember getting something from you.
Yeah, I really like that, because like I said, I kind of average in the mentorship is I do 300 letters a month, right? So basically, that's 250 skip traces a month. That's almost synchronized, right? So
exactly.
Basically, on top of those letters, I can basically get all other stuff. But that is a nice feature where skip trace. I just want to clarify that, because wait, is it per month? Because if so, you can have all of the leads in Oklahoma City will pay
exactly. And so you just get those contact information. You can reach out and target them. Again, you can apply filters to narrow it down. As I mentioned, you go into ownership. You can get owner has phone number, and go into owner. You go to owner has phone. Yes. And then the list will get narrowed down to just the ones that have phones. So this one, we narrowed it down to just those 2 properties. If I go in and take out that seller loan type, the list will expand out. Now I'm looking at those that have phones. So I've got 301 contacts that have a phone number. And the system moves so quickly and is so fluid I've never seen a system that has the ability to go back and forth that quickly with the data and the filters that you're applying.
Yeah, and another feature that I kind of noticed when I was playing around yesterday was like when I was under a property and it shows the owner name, it actually like takes you, there's like a click down option and it'll search like, oh, there's a free way to get the information, or there's like a way that costs money to get the information.
Yes.
That was
So
really
so
cool, I
we
thought.
offer the ability to do additional skip tracing. Like so we've kind of like we offer skip tracing within our system, but it's really not skip tracing. Skip tracing is an art form. It's a way of somebody physically doing an investigation to find contact information. We are gathering the data from multiple sources and appending contact information. So it's technically phone appending. But like all those other companies out there that say that they're skip tracing, they are not skip tracing because there isn't a person doing any research. It's all programmatic computer appending contact information. That's it. So real skip tracing is a person going out to Google. And if you go and select, the contact and you go to Google, it'll do a Google search for that person in the state. If they're unique, you may find that person with a, contact information. That's what it's about. You can also go to, white pages. We've got, Spokio, been verified, Intellius, all these paid services that you can get. People Finder, you simply click it, it goes and finds that person on People Finder. So it's really amazing of how you can go in and not only access our data, but have links to other people's data. And with this one, really quick, I'll show is that these people own multiple properties. Here are all the other properties that they own. And I can easily check out this property that they also own and see the information here. So again, Danny Gabbert. He owns 259 West Lakeshore and 428 North Ohio. So this guy has multiple properties. We even give users that as a search criteria. So you can go in and look for these people that have multifamily properties and specify, where is it? There we go. Let's go in and go owner, number of properties owned, say 10 or more. And now I'm looking at every multifamily property that's owned by somebody who has 10 or more properties. So the possibilities are endless of what you could create. And then you could dive into those specifics and get that data. So here's one that this guy owns 2 different properties. Looks like they're probably next door to each other. It might be multiple parcels on a single development.
Got it. So you can
do all of that stuff.
You can do multiple properties plus like can own it for like 10 years plus. So
exactly.
Might be older, might be more motivated to get rid of one, right? To get that one owner, you're basically hitting multiple properties. So it's kind of efficient, right?
Exactly. And that's why when you're marketing to investors, the idea is that you're not saying, hey, I want to buy this one property. Do you want to sell it? Yes or no? A lot of times the messaging is generic to investors. It's like, I'm looking for a property in the area. Are you interested in selling one you own? Or do you know somebody who's looking to sell a property? Like you try to broaden that. And so with investors, you could say, do you have any properties in the area you're looking to sell? I know you have this one, but are there others that you might own that you might be interested in selling? And it just opens that door to something that's not just to that one property. Because it could be, hey, do you want to sell 123 Main Street? He's like, no. But if you asked about, hey, what about others? You might say yes.
Yeah,
good stuff with that.
Yeah. Well, that's all the questions I had.
Love it.
Learned a lot.
Love it. And so the goal is that, I'm going to work with you, Steve, to create some lists that you'll be able to share with your audience. And as I mentioned earlier, there's an easy way for you to share that with some awesome affiliate links that you can give to them. And they'll be able to simply click that link and have all your custom criteria already ready to go for them. And they can do it in any market nationwide.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I have a couple ideas of some lists already after this session. Basically one kind of catered towards seller financing and one just more broad. And then obviously we can spend more effort on the ones with seller financing, smaller list. So yeah, I would love to be able to create some affiliate links and basically get my audience started.
Sounds good. All right, man. Well, that's it. So if there's any questions, feel free to let me know, reach out, and, we'll set up some more sessions as we go.
Cool. Thank you so much, Tyler.
Not a problem, Steve. All right, I'm going to